Hi and welcome to Iceland Roundup, where me, Aðalsteinn and Sindri round up last week's news in Iceland.
Yes, we are.
Welcome to the show. We're
news herds.
Yeah, news herds. Herders.
News herders.
News hoarding?
News herders?
Hoarding.
Maybe it's news
Hoardy, dory, dory.
This is one of those words that's the trickiest one to get if you're trying to eliminate your Icelandic accent. Herder?
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's like murder.
Murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found out actually when it comes to V's and W's, Icelanders don't really distinguish between the two.
Yeah.
No.
And
There was a Grapevine article about it a long time ago.
Yeah, and when I was living
Grapevine,
illegally in the United States in the 90s, moving pianos for a living.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Is that before or after you were a police officer?
That is before the policing.
Okay,
It's also prior to 9/11, so it wasn't a big deal.
It was one of his duties as a police officer was to move the pianos in Vestfjörður.
Yes.
Yep, the piano.
Yeah,
The one.
every time, they needed the piano for a barn dance.
And I was...
Have you been to a barn dance in the Westfjords?
I saw one from outside and decided not to go inside.
I've seen one from the outside as a police officer.
Yes.
No, it was explained. I remember somebody trying to explain to me the massive...
They were like, "Narc, don't let him in."
The massive difference between...
Sorry, you were saying...
Yeah, so it was explained to me that there was a distinguishable difference between saying RV or RV.
Yeah,
An RV being
a recreational vehicle. Yeah,
and an RV something completely different.
Yeah.
Are we okay with the RV?
I mean, it depends on the
I
RV.
still don't hear it.
Yeah,
This
It's like
has been explained to me.
It's also like if you want to talk about like place names in Iceland, would you say Vopnafjörður or Vopnafjörður?
Vopnafjörður.
Vopnafjörður. Which is it? Is it
I never
difference?
say it.
Vopna or
Vopnafjörður or Vopnafjörður?
Why would you say Vopnafjörður?
I don't know. I mean,
Vopna.
what is the correct way of like? Do you hear the difference between a V or a W in that?
Yes.
It's a V.
I've been called out for hair splitting on things such as pronunciation in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps it's just me and my crazy brain. But yeah, I hear a difference in everything. Maybe it's one of the reasons why I am the way I am. I'm constantly overanalyzing everything people say.
I just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm so relaxed.
You have the hair to prove it.
Wow. Conditioner this morning?
Yes.
My hair can't do that.
No.
It's stiff like me.
It's So, what happened in the news?
I have no idea, but I'm gonna.
Okay, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I have
a good start.
I have a few.
That's fantastic. I love these episodes.
I have a few things.
Did
There was
anyone get
Damn it.
lost in nature?
no.
Our beautiful nature? I
We-
feel like we talk about the nature in Iceland like it's bad or ugly.
Somebody in the comment section, for the YouTube videos of this, was, asking if it was very Icelandic to sort of talk shit about everything that is nice here.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
not.
Is
not
it just?
Icelandic.
No, I don't find it to be that at all. The second I start bad-mouthing anything Icelandic to another Icelandic person, I get pushback.
Yeah.
You guys are the only people in my life who will just let me shit over everything Iceland ever does.
Yeah, but is it because was it the comment after we were talking about Mount Asia?
Yeah, I think it's a direct result of your.
Yeah, but those who have seen
Mount
Mount
Asia.
Asia and like any
And
other
live to
mountain,
tell the tale.
and any other mountain in Iceland would completely understand.
I guess this is why Mount Asia is doing so well, because when you get to Reykjavík,
Yeah,
and this is basically the first mountain you see, so you
Yeah.
don't know you're looking at the worst mountain in Iceland.
yeah.
Although you would have passed something like Mount Keilir on your way from
Yeah,
But
but
if
you
you
don't really
went
notice
to
it.
another country and you saw two mountains there, I don't think you would be like, "Oh, this mountain sucks, but that one's awesome." You would just go back home and tell people, "I saw a couple of cool mountains." Like,
Yeah, but the
can't we appreciate them all?
No,
No. Okay. I guess there's not enough love in our hearts for
no, but
Even
I mean,
the
if all the mountains are great,
flat
then
quasi
everything
mountains
is
we have
just like-
here.
I was gonna. There's something that's not necessarily a news story, but there's a feature on the the national broadcaster on export of killer whales, Orcas,
Yes.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
Did you guys see this?
I listened to it. It's a podcast.
As
It's a
what,
podcast, yeah.
slave labor? No, to like SeaWorld.
Yeah,
so
same
the
thing.
same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, slave labor.
Man, fuck SeaWorld. Have you? Yeah, I mean, I presume you know all about their horse shit.
I've never been there.
Is there
and
horse shit in SeaWorld?
Seahorse shit.
Yeah, wow.
They collect it and feed it to the orcas.
yeah, so back in the 80s, and I guess neither of you guys remembers, there was like an aquarium in the suburbs. Yeah, in the suburb of Hafnarfjörður, which is either another town or a suburb of Reykjavík, depending on whether you ask me or...
It's a separate municipality, but,
Yes.
you know, is it...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying, sir.
But, you know, Seltjarnarnes is a municipality and Grafarvogur is not, so
Yeah.
make of that what you will.
Seltjarnarnes has its own like hitaveita.
Yeah, I drove past it the other day.
Hitaveita?
Just heating, like a water...
Eating.
Yeah, water.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know the name. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you can...
They're self-sufficient for heat
And parking lots.
and parking lots.
And nothing else.
Yeah, electricity maybe from the heat. No,
I don't think so. Do you think so?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, they're basically... They don't do any... Like, the tax rate there is lower than here because they don't really provide any services, right?
Yeah, but still their like financiers are
I say we...
shitty. No.
In shambles?
I say we impose restrictive tariffs on Seltjarnarnes.
That
right
has...
now.
You remember when the...
When Jón talked about
the
doing that?
mayor here from 2010 and 14,
Yeah.
14 suggested putting up a gate there.
Yeah.
Tariffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of loved that shit because, you know, he would never actually have done it. He was just sort of making a point.
Yeah, it was a...
Then we have the president of the United States who's actually
Yeah.
has a similar.
Who hasn't made a decent point in his life, but will arbitrarily do anything for any reason, it seems.
yeah, put tariffs on penguins and all that stuff.
But you were talking about the aquarium in Hafnarfjörður.
Yeah.
Which, like it was a zoo. It wasn't an aquarium. They had like a lion at one point, I think.
Yeah, it was
And
a very...
monkeys,
A lion?
kangaroo.
Yeah. It was a really weird place. It was always... Like, I went there as a very young kid, and I vaguely remember it.
But not that young.
Thank you.
You don't know how old he is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That money we don't get for this podcast, it goes to his plastic surgeries.
Yep.
Yeah, well, it's not the plastic surgery, it's the blood transfusion. It's very expensive.
That's why you keep all those interns
Human
around.
growth hormone.
Yeah.
It's
Can I have my
it's
coffee
also
back?
really it's also
you
really
put it over
difficult to get interns in the same blood group I am. To be quite problematic. No, it was just so it turns out it was being discussed in this podcast that, and because I know you guys love talking about Keiko, who is a sort of direct link into
I
all
love
this.
nothing more.
Keiko, what was it again?
How long has the Keiko star been there? Like ages, I'm assuming.
Keiko Star?
At the in Östavöllur.
Oh, there's this Keiko Star. We were trying to do our own sort of walk of fame.
Yeah, have you not noticed this?
No.
I've never
I
seen
just
it.
noticed this first, maybe a couple months ago. I was walking through Östavöllur, and there's like a Keiko star.
Is that the only star?
Yeah. So I mean, it's our only star so far.
I think they tried to make this like walk of fame in Hafnarfjörður, since we're talking about Hafnarfjörður, like twice, and they for both times they got Björgvin Halldórsson, this famous singer from Hafnarfjörður. They got him a star like twice.
And then it
And
just
that's the only
that's
star,
just
I think,
stopped.
yeah.
So I guess two different people, like two different groups of people tried to start it, and neither knew of the other.
Yeah, I think so.
And Björkvin just like, oh yeah, sure. No one's thought of
sure,
that before.
yeah.
Let's do that.
Definitely. Well, I think it's like that. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I have no idea. I've never heard of this.
Okay.
No.
So don't correct me.
So for those of you very good at Icelandic, there is now a podcast on the national broadcaster about the Icelandic exportation of orcas in the 80s to fund and finance this aquarium.
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 Yeah, they were catching them around Iceland from like like 1976 until 1989, I
Yeah.
think. And like 50 orcas or something captured and exported mainly to the US, I think.
Yeah. And
One of those being Keiko. And I mean, the reason they're doing a podcast about it is because of this new law in France banning like marine animal shows or something like
SeaWorld type
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And they have these two orcas who are like descendants of one of these orcas.
Original ones, born in captivity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they also spoke about there was an orca, I think, in Tenerife, and another one probably in the US that killed their trainer, I think.
Yeah, and I think
talking about sort of orca trauma.
I think orcas have only ever killed people like in captivity.
Yes.
Orcas have never killed people in the wild, I read somewhere.
But they will eat seals like it's like nobody's business.
Oh yeah, but fuck seals, man.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares about them?
Especially never mind. All right, I mean, I just wanted to mention this because we, Keiko
for
is
all of the Icelandic speaking listeners,
Keiko lovers.
Keiko lovers. One of the French orcas, his name is like not Keiko but Keho.
Something very close to it, yeah.
So illuminate my ignorance on the name Keiko.
Yeah,
because I thought
definitely.
Keiko was a girl because that's a woman's name in Japan, isn't it? And then someone told me Keiko, the killer whale, was male.
Yeah, his original name was Siggi.
Of course it was.
when he was swimming around in the Hafnarfjörður aquarium.
Do you think it was short for like Sigurður or Sigursteinn or something weird like Sigurvaldi?
Sigurvaldi.
Yeah.
This is a killer whale.
Sigurvaldi the orca.
Named after the famous architect.
Yes, absolutely.
Who did all his houses.
Yeah, it's tragic, really. If Keiko hadn't been sucked into a life of showmanship, he could have been one of our greatest architects, perhaps.
Sigurvaldi. This is a Sigurvaldi swimming pool.
I can picture like a tour guide telling a bunch of tourists, like, yes, an interesting fact. It was in fact designed by a killer whale. And the tourists all going, oh.
I sometimes, because we have these walking tours all around Reykjavík, like free walking tours or something.
Yeah.
And I have like this jacket, very similar to the ones that the tour guides wear. And I have thought about when I'm bored at work or something, or have something not so fun to do, that I would just walk out of our office, which is situated like
just
tourist central,
basically just in the exact center of Reykjavík.
The giant sea of tourists.
And just walk out there with my like icewear jacket and just like, yes, are you here for the walking tour? Yeah. And then just go around Reykjavík and make stuff up.
So like
a dude did that though. Like we reviewed his tour for Grapevine. I went on it.
Yeah. He just made that.
Yeah, he was just like making shit up. He was just like quoting Pulp Fiction on the tour and just like saying that some ancient Icelandic ghost had said it or something, and I was just like,
I think if it's deliberate, I kind of respect that. But I've overheard the downtown guide saying just absolutely factually wrong things, like introducing the statue of Jón Sigurðarson, which is the statue by the Parliament building on Austurvöllur, as something like Jónas Hallgrímsson or something.
Oh, really?
Like, what? It's like,
we should take
I did see, because we are ostensibly here to talk about the news. I did see something in the news about they're not going to make tour guides, tour guiding like a university, an available university education.
oh yeah, well, it's for the Glacier guides, mountain guides.
Glacier guides, I feel like some sort of official education and certification is dearly needed. Like,
well, if you guys remember, there was a fatal ice caving accident last fall.
I remember it like it was last fall.
And that was the first, first death on Vatnajökull from accident, which is astonishing.
Considering its size and age.
Known death, tourism death. I'm sure people have died on that glacier before, but...
it's been around for ages.
It's been around for some time. Maybe even longer than Icelanders. come think of it.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it must have been here when they got here.
I assume so.
Like, it wasn't that different.
No,
was it?
no. Although it was probably a little smaller back in the 9th century.
It wasn't,
was?
Yeah.
Smaller.
smaller.
Yeah.
And then
Why would it have been smaller?
There was it was really warm in that era. I think even though our glaciers have been steadily receding since, I don't know, the 17th century, they were actually smaller in the 10th century, 9th century.
Huh.
Wow.
Just like the people.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like the people.
So it's like global warming is.
It's not a hoax. No, I'm not saying that.
Let's just definitively come out on one side of that
I'm just
for everyone's benefit.
There are just some cyclical elements in glacier size that don't necessarily have anything to do with global warming.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
So it was just warmer. Then,
See, you keep showing up, you learn something new every day
definitely.
here.
Yeah.
well, I unless we just find out this is just wrong and I dreamt this up, but I think it's actually correct. But
You'd still be more qualified to talk about it than one of these tour guides.
no, but this was like a pretty big discussion in the fall because of that fatality on Vatnajökull, because some tour companies had been taking tourists into ice caves on that glacier in the summer.
In the summer.
Which was not considered a terrific idea
No, I
for
mean,
safety
it's
reasons
like
ever before that.
you should never ever
I feel like
do that.
the first thing maybe that you should be aware of is what glaciers are made out of, like
Yeah, but-
before you take people there for money.
Is it necessary to have this as like a university program? Shouldn't this just be like
Like a 6-week course.
maybe just like an afternoon tea?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't take 6 weeks for a human being to learn that glaciers are made out of ice. So
No.
No, and I think it came also to light that
you're right. It could just be like, an afternoon.
I think it also came to light that on that specific tour in question, the tour guides were novices. They didn't really have any qualifications, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of it's not exactly a positive result of that the state has decided not to fund education in mountaineering, including glacier guiding.
Mountaineering, isn't that the new like discipline at the Winter Olympics? Where they like
The climbing?
they like wear skis, but they're going uphill and then downhill again.
Mountain skiing, I think it's called.
No,
Is it called mountaineering?
It's something like that.
Why are we so against people learning this from professionals? Why are we so against institutionalizing this? Shouldn't this be like a super pro,
Yeah,
something
but-
all Icelandic people can agree on?
But this
Well-
costs money, and the government is trying to downsize. And now we have this thing in the
All
US.
the
and-
fucking government cars parked outside the fucking Russian embassy cost taxpayer money. It's just like, why are we funding that, but we're not funding this? I'm sorry, that's my rant for the day. Done.
No, I mean, one of the things that I kind of vaguely remember coming to light when we were writing about this in September was that the whole environment or
the
not
whole environment.
no, the whole thing, like the whole Vatnajökull, the whole glacier
Yeah.
thing over there is
Yeah.
kind of self created. So like, people from there started taking people on tours.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Other
okay.
people learned from them,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like it's sort of self.
What's it?
It's this sort of libertarian attitude that comes up that, like this is just shit that should take care of itself and the government should be.
It did so for a very long time, and I guess at this point it's become such a huge industry that the government should probably be involved in some way or another.
And it's like taken them years of mulling this over to decide, like, I mean, it seems like, they're still not prepared to take it seriously. I get it that COVID probably, made them wary of investing in like tourism related stuff, but it's like, how could it possibly be a bad idea?
But speaking of the government, infrastructure and safety, there's a news piece from last week which we didn't talk about on our last show.
Yeah,
which
we
was
didn't
a-
really talk about the news on our last show.
No, I mean, who needs to? But
Yeah.
I mean, what's the label of the show again? It's a roundup thing. We might as well be screaming at sheep, right?
Yes.
Now there's an idea.
Yep.
There's a show
Okay.
I'd watch. Yeah.
there was a road fatality on the road just by, we're saying it again, Eyjafjallajökull, Eyjafjall, on Monday last week. Did you guys...
Can you say Eyjafjallajökull again, like the
guy on Fox News or whatever it was?
Eyjafjallajökull.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's one. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you guys are laughing now, but in 10, 20 years, there'll be more people saying it like that than we'll be saying it.
That's how language works, apparently.
Yeah.
No, so it was this was Monday last week. There were 3 tourists driving in a car, and they got hit by a rock that simply fell out of the mountain onto the road. And
quite scary.
Which is, it's terrifying.
What are the odds?
Well, apparently, according to the locals, rather high. This has been a problem that they've been complaining about for a very long time.
Yeah, I guess I'm picturing the country roads like they used to be with barely anyone there, but it's just like a non-stop rental car traffic jam now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's on the way to Skógafoss, a very popular waterfall.
Right, yeah.
So that's kind of a...
Like very steep mountains and...
Yeah, and...
beautiful mountains.
Beautiful mountains.
Not like Mount Asia.
Very far from it.
Yeah.
But also like Mount Asia, slowly crumbling like every other mountain in this country.
Yeah. Like infrastructure.
But I can't think of anything like more terrifying. But apart from that, so I guess it's another case of where...
Normalize armored vehicles in Iceland, I guess.
I'm not even sure that would do you any good there.
No.
Like a tank would probably...
Yeah, I mean the tank is an armored vehicle.
Maybe a tank would do it. I'm not sure. Or stridsvagn.
Yeah.
No, but it's...
Open horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah. It could simply gallop over the rock.
No, but it's another... we've talked about what the former Minister of Infrastructure here called infrastructure deficit.
Mm-hmm.
That the further away from the capital you get on these roads, the worse they get. The narrower, the worse.
Was that Sigurður Ingi?
That was Sigurður Ingi.
Fun fact about Sigurður Ingi. He can take his wedding ring off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what is this finger called in English? Sindri?
Ring finger.
Ring finger.
Yeah.
And put it on his thumb.
Yeah. That's an astonishing fact.
I thought our listeners would appreciate this fun fact about the former Minister of Infrastructure.
What's fun about it is it's his only talent of note, really.
No.
He's like a vet.
He's a veterinarian.
Yeah, it was a joke. I'm sure he has far more talents than me.
He's also...
Sindri, don't talk like this. You are such a talented man, just like Sigurður Ingi.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's all I've ever aspired to be.
Every 5 years, I actually party with Sigurður Ingi.
Yeah, why?
We went to the same school.
You were at Laugarvatn.
I was at Laugarvatn.
At the same time?
No. Thanks for asking, though. I think he graduated the year I was born. So every 5 years, I run into him.
He is old. Yeah.
And I really like the guy. He's fun to be around during those occasions. Makes great impromptu speeches. Drinks like a proper dude. It's a lot of fun. Proper Icelandic veterinarian.
Proper Icelandic former what's it called? Nemandi.
Student at a boarding school in the middle of Iceland.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which is heavy. It's heavy drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked...
Speaking of drinking, sorry. There was
how was your coffee? Speaking of drinking.
Yeah. It exists.
Yeah.
There was a story this week, or the weekend, that the police stopped a guy in Raufarhöfn.
Of all places.
Of all places. I didn't even know there were police officers in that general vicinity of that town.
I didn't even know there was a Raufarhöfn.
Raufarhöfn is a small town in the far northeast part of Iceland.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I did know that. I know.
Next to something called the Arctic Henge.
Heimskautagerði.
Yeah. which
Amazing thing.
which I only know because the Icelandic metal bands play shows there.
What? They do?
Yeah,
Wow.
makes sense.
Is it like ruins?
No, it's like a sculpture,
It's like
Sculpture,
a man-made thing.
like a.
I mean, ruins are man-made. So, but it's new.
Oh,
is
they
what you're
are.
saying. It is.
Okay.
But you're saying it's like a new thing.
Yes,
It's
like
not- it's not
they
like
haven't
thousands of
finished
years old.
building it, actually.
Oh, it's okay.
in development.
But it's kind of like a Stonehenge thing idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like at some specific time of the year, the sun shines through something, and Gandalf appears or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how this
And then he
works.
gets
Merlin.
sued by
Only
Spinal
if there
Tap.
are like heavy metal bands playing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. So the guy was arrested for stealing a pickup truck, and he was both drunk and moderately high. Very drunk, moderately high, the news story said. And I don't know, I mean, it's like a perfectly reasonable thing to do, I think, over a weekend in Rockfall.
It's hard to disagree.
I mean, you have it's winter, you have a lot of time on your hands, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
How the hell do you score wheat up there, though? That's going to be interesting.
You go and you pray to the metal gods at
Yeah.
the henge, and if you play loud enough,
Maybe you talk to the sound guy for the metal bands,
yeah,
who's just there, just lives there.
it's his job. It's just to make sure it sounds good at any given moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was there
And to
last.
supply wheat.
What else are you gonna do? I mean, the weed would supply itself if that was your job, I think.
I was there last summer, and the only thing I really remember from being there is there was a car there. There was a late 70s. What are they called again?
I don't know.
Cars, automobiles.
Sjálfrennir.
Cadillac. It was a Cadillac, a 1970s, like a big Cadillac
Wow.
that somebody had stretched. Like probably in their spare time. It's the only stretched Cadillac I've seen, like extra long, and turned into a pickup, making it the only stretched Cadillac pickup I have ever seen.
Probably that has ever existed.
And
I'm
the
sure the people in our comment section will disagree with that.
maybe, yeah, I would love to see pictures of something like that.
Send pics.
Jóndi at Reykjavík.
But what I thought when I saw that was like, people must have a lot of time on their hands here in the winter.
Yeah, but I like, this is what I want from life.
I was about to say the same thing. I feel like, we were sort of like chortling and talking shit about the countryside, but I think we're romanticizing it quite a lot as this fabulous place where you can just do anything you put your mind to.
I mean, the only reason I do not talk about the east part of Iceland more in this, because I really
Because you're
don't.
hoping to get a job there?
I'm hoping that like tourists won't discover it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the only place in Iceland where you can go on a hike and not like see anybody. It's like you can go in the like hot spring, what's it called? Náttúrulaugar.
Natural
like-
hot springs, yeah.
And you're just alone the entire time.
Which is fortunate because you are naked, right?
Yeah, but that's not an issue.
No, it's nice out there, but I mean,
I think we need to like have the nudity as like a way to stake a claim that only a certain kind of person will go there. I think if we
but then
start
we have just
normalizing,
like a lot of German tourists coming.
and French.
French.
well, I mean, we got to draw the line somewhere.
Around the Benelux countries.
Yeah. That's fine. Then at least it'll be like less people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of people. If your only criteria is that there's less people there, then I think the nudity would probably help.
In the
I
early,
think people who are comfortable bathing naked with strangers are probably, and this is a wild guess here, but they're probably in the minority versus the other kind of person.
well,
Yeah, but still there are like tons of people bathing in Landmannalaugar. And it's
True.
like, isn't people still doing that in the nude?
I have no idea. I've only
You've never been nude.
no.
Okay. I'm never
Yonte is
nude.
a never nude. Yeah.
I've never been nude ever. No, I've never bathed in Landmannalaugar. That's what I'm gonna.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay. Wow.
I have a childhood memory here when it comes to tourism, natural springs, and nudity, which is when I was 8. I went to Hveravellir in the center of Reykjavík on a 1966 Land Rover with my grandfather. and some other people.
In the center of Iceland.
Center of Iceland, sorry.
Yeah,
What did I say?
center of
Reykjavík.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like,
I
what?
confuse these two things a lot. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
And
I was like, so was it like where Skaven is now, or like I'm trying to picture where there was like a hot spring
so they're in the
bubbling up.
And
in the-
Laugardalur.
that makes sense.
They paved that shit over.
So in the middle of Iceland, there is a hot spring, a weather station, and what used to be a safe haven for Icelandic outlaws in the 1800s or 1700s or something.
Who like to be nude.
Definitely love being nude. I guess if you sit in the nude in the hot spring while you boil a live sheep in there, that's kind of what they were
It's
into.
like all the human body's needs taken care of in one place.
But
Boil your food and eventually yourself.
We're laughing like this has never happened. It's definitely.
Now I'm laughing because it definitely happened.
well, I once read a story from a guy who tried living as an outlaw in the Highlands in the 1800s or 1700s or whatever.
Yeah.
And he caught a sheep, which is what you kind of subsided on if you were an outlaw. And he had no idea how to be an outlaw in the middle of nowhere. He didn't know how to cook or anything. So he just threw the sheep into the nearest hot spring in hope for it.
Well,
how
it
to
was
cook.
like alive?
Yeah.
God.
And then he said like it didn't really work out. I mean, he gave up I think after a week of living as an outlaw in the Highlands, because he waited and waited, and eventually just like the lungs bubbled up or something, and he said they weren't that tasty.
Oh, yeah.
But back to my childhood story.
Yeah.
Oh, this wasn't a test.
I think this was one of Egil Ólafsson's childhood stories, maybe.
For reference, Egil Ólafsson is a 1970s and 1980s pop singer.
Of curious character.
Yeah, and renown.
Yeah.
So we were parking there. We parked up to, there's no, like, there's a hot tub there. You can go into it. It's still there. It's kind of cool in the middle of the Highlands. And when we arrived, a big sort of old Highland bus. Do you remember how these things looked? Like almost like an army truck, parked full of what I assume were French tourists. And then there was like a race to the hot tub, where that whole bus got undressed on their way to the hot tub and then jumped in.
Oh my God.
And I found this to be, it was a curious experience for an 8-year-old. I'd never seen anything like this before. It was very interesting.
It doesn't convey an image of like great relaxation, does it? It's just like we have to very quickly strip naked and jump in there.
I think, this was probably the highlight of their trip, and it takes a while to get there from anywhere else. So
Yeah, I imagine they were
restless.
pretty smelly on that bus by then as well. It's just like,
But like, what a disappointment for you and your family to have driven all this way
just to see a bunch of
arrive
naked French people.
at the same time as a group of like really excited friends.
Yeah, it's
tourists.
not. It's not exactly where you expect to see like 30 naked French people either.
But that's the beauty of
That's
it.
the beauty
You
of it.
see, it's,
The unexpected pleasure of it.
the Highlands is where the unexpected truly happens.
And I mean, this is your like most cherished travel memory from childhood.
One of them, yes,
Yeah.
definitely one of them.
Yeah, that's why when you come here, you should leave the city. See the sights.
You take a bus into the middle of the Highlands.
Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do in town? Get drunk, maybe get stabbed if you're lucky. But if you leave town, any busload of naked people can just show up.
Do you guys have any favorite news stories from last week that we should talk about? I'm kind of running out here.
I think favorite being sort of another way of saying shit I actually read.
Yeah.
Bring it, Sindri. Bring it in.
Well, I can mention a few things. Inflation is apparently going down, if anybody's interested in that.
Yeah, but like not for a great reason now.
It's for the reasons that...
As opposed to normally when inflation happens for wonderful reasons.
No, it's going down.
Oh, down. Sorry. Yeah.
Is it less tourism?
More Donald Trump, I
Yeah,
imagine.
I think so. It's a bit of both.
Bit of both. Which kind of brings up another thing that was floating around this week. What will be the result of Trump tariffs on
I
Icelandic
thought you
tourism?
were like pivoting back to the French tourists that are floating around.
A
There's
news,
a sheep.
Yeah.
Sheep lungs.
one of the news stories I did read was the manager of our national bank calmly reassuring us that everything will be fine.
Yeah.
As he stroked his great red beard.
Yeah.
In thought.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was on both the reason. Like
what's your take on that guy? Is he like a good guy?
Yeah. I mean, I think he is trying his best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I genuinely believe he wants low inflation.
You're not going to go as far as to say that he wants, peace on earth, but
no, I mean, I don't think that's
if it's good for inflation.
If it's good for inflation,
basically, you need a little friction.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, but there is like an interesting piece of news that we could discuss because yesterday Heimildin, the source,
oh,
Heimildin.is,
awesome.
Yeah,
cool,
reported that there was this woman from the United States who came to Iceland with her young son seeking asylum.
Yeah,
she's transgender, and the Icelandic authorities just frequently asked her to withdraw her
application for
asylum.
Yeah.
And now she is banned from entering Iceland or any other Schengen country for the next 2 years because they deemed her application to be baseless. I think that's the word they
used. Can punish you for just not filling out your application properly?
In Icelandic it's augljóslega tilhæfulaus umsókn.
What?
So they denied it because it was obviously without
merit.
Merit,
or without
But this is happening at the same time as the Icelandic Foreign Ministry
issued travel warnings to the United States, right?
Yeah, but if you read the travel warning, it doesn't
explicitly say that.
The United States, but everyone has been really clear about this is travel. What did you call it? Travel
recommendations or something like that.
Yeah, because of the developing situation in the United States towards
minorities of various sorts.
Yeah,
and including trans people.
Yeah.
Haven't some of these other Scandinavian countries issued more sort of explicit travel warnings?
I don't think so because
no one
wants to be the first country to say to the US we are advising our citizens not to travel there because it isn't safe.
So they are without saying it, basically. It seems. Yeah.
It's the official foreign policy of Iceland not irritate Donald Trump.
I think isn't that official or unofficial foreign policy of every other European country at this point?
Yes,
probably.
Iceland and Norway are in a between a rock and a hard place because we haven't. It's the tariffs imposed on Iceland and Norway aren't as extreme as the tariffs imposed on the European Union, and we are bound to react in accordance to the European Union's decisions.
But the tariffs were decided by this bullshit formula, right?
Yeah.
That they figured out.
Yeah.
So what if the tariffs imposed on Iceland weren't that high? What are we giving the US so much of that,
we're basically not giving the US
I think
but they give how did we slip by there? We import so much from there.
I guess we import so much from there versus what we export to there that there isn't a massive trade deficit with us, I guess.
Yeah, we buy more from them
than the other way around.
They from us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and they like that, of course. Yeah,
they like that.
Sorry, it's like grown-ups explaining money to me. Okay, cool. Fun.
You look at us.
So we have the
I do.
We have
that's not a joke.
We have the penguin tariff rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of all our penguins.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how this story develops because, I mean, the Icelandic government is saying you have to be careful because minorities are not being they don't have full rights or their human rights are being violated, or there's a chance that their human rights will be violated. But on the other hand, we're saying like, oh, you're from a safe country, you're not allowed to submit an asylum application.
I feel like we've been
standards
kicking out asylum seekers on very bullshit pretenses for years, though. I mean, and that's nothing new, and I don't feel like it's ever impacted by anything else that's going on. It seems like they can just say like,
Venezuela is a perfectly safe place for you to go back to now, or something like that.
Yeah, that was just a decision made like during lunch.
Yeah, and funnily enough,
such fucking inhuman assholes. Like, I can't believe it. Sometimes.
Ironically enough, at the same time, at that point in time last year, the United States didn't really agree with that assessment either. It seems very random sometimes.
I don't think it seems random at all. I think that's just say no for any reason.
Well, the randoms, the reasons seem random, but the purpose is kind of clear.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I meant.
Mm-hmm. The message is clear. Don't move to Iceland.
Right. I mean,
do not come, as the great lady said.
Has this anything to do with these news stories that have come out of the United States in the past few weeks, that people just are being apprehended on the border while trying to enter, and then they're kind of detained for a few days before let go? Mm-hmm. People from Canada or somewhere else?
Yeah, like citizens too. Like U.S. citizens are just like, oh, what were you doing? Like, detained hours. I mean, I feel like every time I've entered the United States my entire life, it's always like at the whim of that particular border guard, like how they gonna decide to treat me. And like some of them can be real assholes, and I feel like they now all just have carte blanche to be the biggest possible assholes they can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty big news that a green card holder in one of those universities on the East Coast was apprehended by people who were not even in uniforms.
Yeah,
and moved from there to a detention center in Louisiana or somewhere.
Yeah,
without, and her family and her lawyer were not able to contact her. And didn't really know where she was until there was like a press release from ICE or whatever that thing is called. I mean, like, stuff like this that kind of, I guess, fuels worries by countries like Iceland on the safety of traveling to the United States at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, as horrible as these things are. Like, I can't say that I'm like totally surprised, because as I said, like my whole life, I feel like, when you enter the U.S., like it is like this no man's land where like they can just do whatever they want. They can treat you however they want, and and then arbitrarily, like decide to detain you or deport you or whatever the hell they choose.
Well, there is. I remember back in 2014. I only remember this because I was having this conversation with a few people who were here on a visit. That one of those persons we actually both know and share a tattoo with, but that's another story.
What?
Never mind.
Do you share a tattoo?
Me and Sindri?
Yeah.
No. Next question.
Keen-eyed viewers, I think, will have spotted it.
Maybe
by now.
So back in 2014, and this relates to the whole detention stuff in the United States. The Patriot Act was changed a wee bit. Do you remember the Patriot Act?
Yes.
Yeah, it was in The Departed.
Yeah, and right. And the change was that, and this was signed into law by Obama, and I thought the whole idea was insane. But the change then was that now, after 2014, under the Patriot Act, American citizens on American soil can be detained if they are aiding or are suspected of having given aid and comfort to the enemy, like terrorists, in the war on terror, right?
Yeah.
Which is a word, not a thing.
Super loosely defined terms, like
defined.
enemy and terror can mean anything you want it to mean.
And be detained without being brought to justice or in front of a judge or anybody till the end of hostilities, until we win the war on a metaphor or a word, terror. And essentially what this then means, because this is all loosely defined, is that you can actually legally disappear U.S. citizens within the U.S. and apprehend them on U.S. soil. And this sounds mad.
It doesn't sound mad at all.
And nobody will need to be told where they are legally. And what struck me back in 2014, and why I was having this conversation, was that this is just basically like even the Soviet Union, as far as I know, didn't legalize the Gulag, which this basically is.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody had the cojones to actually put it into law.
But gives it
But the argument against this was like, yeah, I mean, it will never be used unless absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'm not really
this is again this like fault where you assume goodwill of an office and then like have no restrictions on who can run for that office.
The whole point about not putting stuff like this on the books as law is to defend citizens against, well, some maniacs becoming the executive.
Yeah,
I guess.
But has that ever happened?
Well, I mean, we're still waiting for that to happen, but it can.
Yeah,
it may have happened hundreds of times, and we wouldn't know about it.
No, but I mean,
I mean that's probably not true. The CIA is far more incompetent than people would believe.
Yeah, but I guess in an atmosphere where green card holders, which is I guess the closest thing you can become removed from being an actual citizen, are being apprehended in this way and sort of disappeared. Yeah. So it's kind of freaky.
This is something that they have always felt they have been legally allowed to do with every other person in the world.
I think actually they had to I can't really remember this, but no, I think this is actually something passed by the Patriot Act where you could actually detain foreign nationals on U.S. soil and just move them through Guantanamo and tell nobody about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a 21st century thing. I think that wasn't necessarily possible before, and therefore you can avoid the whole judicial thing. If you have a terrorist, you can detain him instead of
trouble. The judicial thing.
Instead of taking him
that
to
whole court of law bullshit.
You do take him to a black site and he's never seen again.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
But isn't if you're moved to Cuba? Isn't it a sunny site, not a black
Guantanamo?
site?
I think they tend to not keep you in the outdoors. I've heard that they keep inside while making you listen to Metallica.
A dark joke.
This is a dark joke, and I have no idea how we ended up on this note. We should just.
I mean, how can you not end up on this note? We are all citizens of this fucked up police state at this point. I think we're all hostages of the bullshit that's going on there.
Well,
we have as much right to talk about it as anyone else.
I don't feel like I have any rights
at all.
No, I'm just trying.
That's sort of my point. But
segue out of this without.
Yeah, can we segue out of this and say I can tell you this, guys. The weather has been great in Iceland for the past few days. It's been sunny. This is exactly the weather where you go and have ice cream. They've been talking about 2-digit heat.
What?
Things going on this week, I think, and we should all celebrate this brief moment of sun before we'll probably have a.
That's double-digit Celsius, by the way. Celsius, we're not heat-starved.
Do you take your kids for ice cream in the wintertime? When it's snowing, you get ice cream.
It happens on very special occasions.
Good luck dragging my son away from his cartoons, in the middle of winter.
Oh, so you bring him the ice cream?
I mean, maybe, yeah.
It's like a tub of curries.
I don't know. I'm not really a big ice cream guy.
Really?
Yeah, I thought for the longest time I thought this happened to everyone, but I only discovered a few years ago that I have this relatively rare thing where cold on my teeth actually hurts. It causes me physical pain when my teeth are cold.
So you warm up your ice cream before eating it?
Or I just don't eat it at all.
Oh, okay.
What about milkshakes and a straw?
Yeah, that's why I like milkshakes better.
Let's go and have a milkshake, guys.
We're going to have a milkshake now.
Yeah.
While putting on a puffin hat or something.
Yes.
I'm going to go get my icewear jacket.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Maybe next week we'll actually have news to talk about. And
we talked about the news.
Yeah, we did.
Set such high standards for us, Nobody cares what we talk about.
Wow, that's an
We should run a
interesting
poll.
question for the listeners.
Do you care what
Do you
podcast-
care? Please comment.
Please comment.
Yeah.
And you can also comment on Spotify, but nobody does.
No, I've never seen anybody comment on Spotify.
No, but I sometimes comment on Spotify.
I hate that we're on Spotify. It really bugs me.
Okay.
All right, so should we not be on Spotify?
Only
I mean, we
the-
have to, like, I put my music on Spotify too. It's like they got a fucking gun to our heads. Like, what else are we going to do? But I just hate that we have to do that.
Yep.
I'm so proud of it, I put my name on it.
It's funny because my artist name is just my name on Spotify, and your name probably isn't on the Spotify stuff that you put on Spotify. Or maybe it is.
I don't put anything on Spotify.
Yeah. So
It's like but maybe I should start like a spoken word.
we could just change the name of the podcast to Aðalsteinn featuring Reykjavík Roundup.
I think
Iceland Roundup.
I think you should just start reading up like 1960s and 70s biographies, like self-autobiographies, Icelandic autobiographies. I think they're kind of a nice thing to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping by, guys.
Yes, thank you for inviting us.
Well, I think the honor is all mine here for showing up.
Is the honor all yours for showing up?
For you showing up. I have no idea what I'm saying here. Anyway, let's go have ice cream.
Yes.
Adios.